Zoning Board of Adjustment. This board has the power under Iowa law and the zoning ordinance of the City of Des Moines to hear and make decisions on requests for variances and exceptions from the regulations in the zoning ordinance, conditional uses, and appeals from any decision of city staff in the administration and zoning ordinance.
Can you hear him okay?
Can you hear me all right?
Pull the mic over a little bit.
Yeah. Is that better?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Members of the board are citizens of the city and have been appointed to the board by the City Council. The board members are volunteers and receive no compensation for their public service. I'd like to introduce the board members. To the audience's right, Cindy Smith, Marlis Jones. To the left, Justin Gross and Rhonda Cedello. And I'm acting chair Dave Gear. I'll also introduce city staff who may be assisting us today. Judy Parks Cruz is on my left, legal counsel. Frank Dunn Young, senior city planner. Catherine Drehas, city planner. Eric Lundy, zoning enforcement officer. Tyler Hall, meeting moderator. Strayosi Chakraborty, senior city planner. And Jason Van Essen, planning administrator. Now we'll review the meeting's procedure. The Board of Adjustment is a quasi-legal board, and this hearing will be conducted within the procedures and format as authorized by Iowa law and this city's ordinances. The meeting is open to the public. The meeting is being recorded, both audio and video, for the legal record of these proceedings. The board members have each received a copy of the agenda and staff recommendations. The board is required to base its decision on each item upon the criteria established by law for the type of relief sought by the appellant. The law applicable to each case is identified in the written staff report. If the facts, as determined by the board, demonstrate that this criteria established by law for granting the relief has been satisfied, then the board must grant the relief. Otherwise, the board must deny the relief. Each item will be announced in order that it appears on the agenda. Items listed on the consent portion of the agenda are not planned to be individually discussed, and they will be considered for approval in accordance with the recommendation in the city staff report. Unless the appellant does not agree to the conditions recommended by staff, or if any individual or a board member requests that the item be removed from the consent agenda so that a full discussion on the matter can occur. Once the agenda item that you are interested in has been completed, you are welcome to leave the meeting. There'll be a 5-minute break in the meeting around 3 or 3:30 if needed. Frank, you want to review the agenda items for us, please?
Good afternoon, Chair, acting chair, members of the board. My name is Frank Dunn Young, planning staff with the City of Des Moines. We have 4 items on the consent agenda. Item number 1 is in the vicinity of 1100 East Beardsley Street. The use of the property proposed is for a winery use, including multiple structures and outdoor areas for the growing of grapes and production of wine. Assembly uses selling wine for on-premise consumption, and retail uses selling wine for off-premise consumption. They are seeking a conditional use for the selling of wine for on-premise consumption and off-premise consumption, as well as a conditional use for a nursery or truck farm use. If there is no one here in opposition, with this being voiced, this item will remain on consent. Item number 2 is 112 Southeast 4th Street. The proposal is use of a 9,500 square foot tenant bay within the existing building for operation of a microbrewery and bar or other use, accompanied by a 3,375 square foot patio for outdoor service. The microbrewery component of the restaurant would be considered a fabrication and production limited use. Conditional use for an other use with sales of wine and beer for on-premise consumption in the DX2 downtown mixed-use district is one appeal. The next appeal is conditional use for fabrication and production limited use in the DX2 downtown mixed-use district. If there is no one here to voice opposition to the proposal, this item is recommended to stay on consent. Item 3 is located at 3300 Indianola Avenue. The proposal is use of a 1,215 square foot tenant bay for tobacco store use with sales of wine and/or beer. As a tobacco store use, no more than 25% of gross receipts from sales could be derived from the sale of wine and beer. The appeal proposed is conditional use for a tobacco use, selling wine and/or beer for off-premise consumption in the MX2 district. If there is no one here in opposition being voiced, this item is recommended to stay on consent. Item 4 has been removed from the agenda. And item 5 is located at 2100 Maury Street. The proposal is expansion of the existing industrial fabrication and production intensive use, include operation within an existing 5,000 square foot building that was previously used for warehousing. The appeal is conditional use for an industrial fabrication and production intensive use in the I-2 district. And then the final item on the agenda is approval of minutes for the October 27, 2021 Zoning Board of Adjustment meeting.
Okay. Thanks, Frank. Okay, is there anyone here to speak in opposition to any of the items on the consent agenda, item 1, 2, was it 3 and 5? If no, I don't see any hands going up. Could I have a motion to We've got a motion, we've had a second. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Aye. All those opposed? Okay, so that's the consent agenda part of the meeting. There is nothing on the regular agenda. If you've been approved, what are we going to ask people? Wait for 24 hours to... Something like that? Mel's got this down pat.
Usually it would take a few days, so
Okay.
Early part of next week.
Okay, that sounds great. Okay, everyone, thanks for your time. I think the last piece we have is if anyone was here at the last meeting, we could have a motion to approve the minutes for the last meeting. Okay, we've got a motion, second. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Aye, those opposed. Okay. Meeting's adjourned.